my Mount Fuji second climb. They say in Japan, only a fool climbs Mount Fuji twice. My second and final time came 10 years after my first time. This time, it was when I was 60 years old. And at 60, in Japan, they call that your KANREKI. That is the time when you have a chance to start over. And I took this as a good sign to help me start over by climbing Mount Fuji. My first climb is in another podcast on this site. Okay, so this time I decided to climb and walk the rim of the mountain. And I went solo this time. I wanted to do it in one day. Many people had told me that ascending and descending Fuji in one day is a common practice. Those people, when they reach the summit, buy a souvenir, get something to drink, and have a rice ball. Then they head back down. Those who do stay overnight are usually rewarded with seeing the sunrise. On my first trip, we did spend the night at the aid station, but we were greeted by a typhoon at 1 o'clock in the morning. That made for a most memorable experience. So, on this, my second and final climb, I decided to walk around the rim. I left home and caught the earliest train possible to reach the fifth station on Fuji. When I got off the train, I found the buses that the hikers use to get to the fifth station. The majority of climbers use this route. On my first climb, we went by car, and I was surprised to see many kids going up with parents or just with dads to the top. Actually, it's not such a hard climb. Many foreigners come just to climb Mount Fuji, and there are adventurers who climb it every year. I started this climb and knew right off that I was pressed for time. So I hiked with some urgency. I had packed some water and rice balls, Japanese onigiri, and I was in good health and shape as I regularly worked out and jogged, and especially as at my KANREKI time, I was not drinking alcohol. This gave me the impetus to pursue this adventure. Up I went. I remembered the police box. Yes, there is a small police station just after the hike begins. And then I climbed. The beginning slope is rather mild. I passed a lot of people who were not in a hurry. Also, the weather was fine. I took off my jacket at one point, but other than that, I continued my climb. I was passing most everyone. From the A station, where the switchbacks start, the slope becomes steep. I maintained my assault at a good pace, passing people, but carefully. It is a little narrow up there, but nobody will fall off the mountain. Don't worry about that. Then I passed a shrine near the top and then went to the service stations at the top. I needed to go to the toilet. The climb took roughly 3.5 hours. Without further hesitation, I headed to the back of Fuji along the rim. It was conspicuously void of people. Not a lot of people do this, but there were some. After 20 minutes or so, there was a path that led down into the crater. Of course, it was completely filled with ash and rock, thousands of years old. It wouldn't be difficult to scale down, but the clock was ticking. There was a bus that I needed to take from the fifth station back down to the train station, so Instead of going into the crater, I pressed on. The views were magnificent. It was a beautiful sunny day. Walking along the rim was exhilarating. It was never dangerous. So I continued on till I came upon a tower, pretty much on the opposite side of the mountain. I climbed up the tower, but there was a chain preventing anyone from going to the top. So I went back down. I did meet a few people and had a chance to speak to them up there, but again, I was in a hurry. I eventually returned to the souvenir restaurant station at the top, relieved myself, and then began my descent. By now, it was getting late, so I pretty much started running down. I was flying by other hikers, being careful not to cause any accidents, of course, and I managed that quite well. But the closer I got to the fifth station, the darker it was getting. I should have brought a headlamp. There are no light poles up here on Mount Fuji, as I discovered. Well, of course not. I was glad when I finally got to the police box, which was empty. Then I continued on down. The good news was that I did arrive in time to catch that final bus back to the train station. But now it was really late, and I needed to get back to Omi. I'm still at the base of Mount Fuji. I don't remember the exact times, but the trains do stop running somewhere around midnight. But it was still early. I'm trying to calculate the timing of the trains, but calculations and thinking are not my strong points. I asked someone on the train if I was heading towards Omiya, and that person told me that I was. I had a phone, so I called my younger daughter, who was still at home, living with us, and she advised me what to do. I said thanks, and at the designated stations, the one she suggested, I changed trains. But this one was a local train. Once we started moving, I saw the express train pass us by. I should have waited for that one at that last station. Anyway, I have finally arrived at Omiya Station, safe and sound. Mimako came by car to pick me up. Safe again. And it was quite an adventure, especially with only my minor preparations and my usual sense of misdirection. So I was back home again, safe and sound. The end.